Last class, we started talking about meetings, and we said that meetings were really a place where we can communicate people and meet them really at their basic needs. So we're going right back to what a human being is, what he needs to survive and thrive and prosper, and that's really why we conduct meetings. That's the purpose behind them. And we could contrast that with maybe I might have a need as a leader to feel like I'm in charge. I might have a need to demonstrate that by speaking to people and holding their attention, and that's like very important to me, that they would be paying attention to me and giving me the respect I think that is due me. And there's a place for all those things, but when we go into meetings, something very different is happening there. And it's really about edification, it's about life, it's about holding people up. And we talked about sort of like a format for the meetings, where we said that we would recommend opening them with something from the Bible, something from the Word of God, like a devotional thought. And again, the purpose of that is not that I've got a need to preach as a leader, but the purpose is to take the team's eyes, including my own, off of the things of the earth and set them on Christ for a moment, so that we are filled with the Spirit, so that we are aware of the presence of God, and we'll find that that presence will really set us up for a good meeting. So it's not like even so much that the people in my team like need to hear me preach, but for my own sake, I can come into a meeting, frequently, many times, with like troubled about things, like things are not going well, I wish things were going differently. And if I launch right into that, that's going to set the tone, and it's going to affect the team for that meeting and for that whole day, most likely. So I, as a body member, as a believer, I need to have my eyes lifted up also. And in me giving a devotion as the leader will accomplish that in many cases. And we talked about this, but I think we all know the principle that when we take these steps of faith, whether it's handing out that first tract, knocking on the first door, opening up the Bible and reading that verse, that's like where God meets us. And often our feelings do not match up in those situations with spiritual reality. When the spiritual reality is that, God is very pleased with us, that I am filled with the Spirit, that He's going to use me to communicate, but I don't feel that way. And those, I don't know where those feelings come from so much. I think it's, we're body, soul, and spirit, where those things are attached. My wife was talking to me this morning. She thinks she can't eat so late at night because it affects her when she sleeps. And she says especially she has dreams when she eats late, and I think we all are aware of that. But how does that happen? Something I put in my stomach affects my thought life throughout the night. Like, how is that possible? But it's very possible. It's reality of who we are, and of course, vice versa. How I'm thinking affects my body. But that's why we really just got to be careful and sort of stand on the Word of God, in a sense with some violence, not in terms of my manner, but in terms of my decisions. No to this, yes to doing it God's way. And God meets us in those places, and that's what our whole lives are really based on. God indwelling and filling me with life in a body of death. So that's really played out in our staff meetings that we have. So we have the meetings on purpose. We talked about that. We open up our meetings with something, a devotional thought from the Bible. There may be a time where I, as the leader, there's something I really want to instruct or communicate to my team. So there's a time for that. There's sort of that could be included in the business of the team, but there's a time for like the business of the team, which is where I really am allowing team members to set an agenda. Okay, what do you guys need to talk about? Anything you want to talk about today? Anything you need help with? What are you thinking about? And then I talked about leaving, you can't do it all the time, but leaving space at the end of the meeting where maybe someone didn't write something down that they wanted to talk about. But if you leave that space and just have that relaxed time things will come to people's minds that need to be spoken of. It allows some creativity into the meeting, and it will be very edifying for the team. And you'll be hearing things that you would not otherwise hear that you need to hear. Okay? And yes, in an ideal world, maybe everyone would write down what they needed to talk about, and we'd have a whole agenda, and sometimes that's necessary and important, especially if you're pressed for time. But I'm just recommending you don't want to run all your meetings that way, because the unintended effect of it will be you will end up stifling team members from things they'd like to say and having that open forum. Okay, so we talked about some of those things, and I want to talk more about how we conduct these meetings and how we're really thinking about these. It's almost like more important, I don't know if I can say this dogmatically, but it's almost more important for the leader to go in to a meeting having, Pastor, there you go, sir, thank you. One of the first 3 rows, thank you very much. I'm sorry to say that. It's almost more important to go in just having the right disposition, like what I am thinking about my team members, almost more than having the whole thing lined up, because through that disposition, I'll be communicating to my team the most important things that I want to say to them. And I know we've got some men who have a preaching ministry or developing one or have an extensive preaching ministry. And I know for me, when I step into the pulpit, which is rarely, but it's often enough, it's almost like, Pastor Stevens would talk about the preparation of the heart. And it's almost more important, like that I am loving my people when I step in the pulpit than that I have like this great thing to say, Or maybe a simple thing said with the right thoughts towards the people is awesome, where the right thing said may be coming out of anxiety or nervousness or self-consciousness can really fall on flat ears. So this is how we really want to be thinking. And we could really relate it to what we heard over the weekend, maybe Sunday morning and again Sunday evening, where Pastor Schaller and then again Pastor Shabeli, we put the balance out there and like what is really important, And we're going to get back to that in a moment here, I think. But I just want to start talking along these lines. I'm as a teacher, and just to be responsible to our video viewers out there, I'm not supposed to move around. I like moving around. I'm going to try and anchor myself to this chair. I don't know how it's going to go, but I sort of lost control last class, which I enjoyed doing. But in my heart, I would rather be sitting down there talking to you than up here, just because of what we're trying to teach in this class. But another way to look at these staff meetings is that they are a safe place or a safe forum for communication. And what I mean by that is that I'm working in my office in the course of a day. I'm going throughout the day, and maybe we've got Taya works in the finance office, and she's never done this to my awareness, but Pastor Taggart, I'm a little bit sensitive about doors being opened at certain times and closed at certain times, and because I want to just control the finance office, because I don't want what I call like civilians wandering through certain parts of the finance office, like my office for one thing, but other parts also, because we're working in there. Certain material is laid out. I don't want people seeing it, not that we're hiding anything, but there's just things that is our job to do. It's our responsibility. I don't want there to be a familiarity. So I want these doors handled a certain way. And I want after 9 o'clock, I either want the door open. It can be closed and unlocked, but with a sign on it that says we're open. But before 9 o'clock in the morning, I want the door closed and locked, because we don't open till 9. And I don't want to communicate to people that maybe if they come at 9:15, they can get in because we might open early. I don't want that happening. Okay? Aren't you impressed with that? I just don't want it happening. I don't know. I don't. So it's possible that a team member, like, again, she's never done this, but Taya might leave the door unlocked when it's supposed to be locked, or locked when it's supposed to be unlocked. It might be like 9:05. I come in, unlock the door with my key, and then someone locks the door and closes it. And in that moment, it's possible that I would have like a moment of irritation about what's happening, okay? Because I'm no different than anybody else here. Some days I'm fatigued. Some days I'm just on a short fuse. Maybe I've communicated this several times, and I'm having a day when I'm like just on a tear that I want to get my staff a little more sharp on something. These things happen to all of us. Okay, this is a part of life. And one thing I want you to get out of this course is do not hyper-spiritualize the day in and day out of what goes on in church administration, because it's no different than what goes on in your home. You know what I'm saying? That things happen there that can bother you. So the point I'm making with that little bit of extended illustration is at that moment where Taya had a momentary lapse of being present, aware of what she was doing, and I'm having a momentary reaction because it's like irritating me. That is a terrible time for me to communicate to her that, oh, this door is supposed to be unlocked right now. Okay, I'm going to say that again. That is a terrible time for me to communicate to her that that door at that moment was supposed to be left unlocked. Okay, does everybody follow me on this? Because what's going to come out, most likely, 2 or 3 things are going to happen in that transaction. Number one, I'm going to communicate possibly out of irritation. Okay. Thing number 2, I am going to humiliate my employee in front of other staff members. Even if that's not my intention, that's how it might be taken. And number 3, and this is possibly the worst of all, is that the enemy is going to attack that staff member and communicate to Taya in this place that the error you just made is a result of you being unspiritual, or you having some inner problem, and that's why you did this. You're either rebellious or you're careless, and that's why this happened. And the other people around here are looking at you as if you are rebellious and careless and maybe not the best team member or the best body member. Okay, now, I'm belaboring this, I'm spelling it out for you, but I think that every single person in this room knows exactly what I'm talking about. Everybody knows this. And this is just where we live day in and day out through these personal interactions. These thoughts are played out, and they can go in and they can go deep inside of somebody, and they can create damage that is not always so easy to repair. Okay? So my premise is that is a terrible time for me to communicate to Taya that she just made an error, or she just did something that I wish she had not done. And I'm saying that if we wait until the next regularly scheduled staff meeting, okay, which may be a day later, it may be a week later, where I can get myself away from the heat of the situation or from the irritation of the situation, I can get myself refreshed in the spirit and take a step back and look at my employee or the person who's on my staff in God's big picture. Instead of the snapshot of that moment where something bad happened, I can get the whole week to see how awesome this person is. And I come back into a meeting. Now get this is like very, very interesting. I come back into a meeting. See, now I'm doing it here. All right? And I open the meeting up with the Word of God, so now we've got like the reign of the Word and the presence of the Holy Spirit in that situation. And then, possibly, in that situation, I would have the liberty, freedom, calling, wisdom to communicate about that situation. But also, if I'm doing it in a team meeting, there's like tremendous accountability for me. Because the way I'm going to speak to her, 5 other people are going to be watching that played out in front of them. And yeah, I can exercise my, whatever you want to call it, like my authority or my satanic authority, and again, humiliate them, this person in public, by correcting them, and maybe make everybody else fear. Oh my God, I'm never going to do that because Taya just got it from Pastor Taggart. Oh my gosh, I can lead that way. You can lead that way. I'm recommending you don't. But when I'm surrounded by these people, supposedly I'm a pastor, supposedly I'm a leader, it's a church. I've got free will agents who have every right to, they're probably volunteers. They don't need to be on my team, or if they're working on church staff, they can go out tomorrow and get a better paying job. They're very interested in getting out of this time together what they came for, which is Christ. So I'm gonna rebuke someone in public. Man, there's accountability on me that's going to be a godly, restraining influence to keep me from communicating in a wrong way. Okay, so everybody understand that? And this is why this is so important, and I want you to understand these dynamics because it'll help you. And for me to quiz you on this stuff is difficult. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm thinking about it. But what I would really want is that you would be pondering and thinking along these lines. And everybody here is in different venues. Okay, most of you have jobs. All of you have jobs. A lot of you have families, and then you're working as you're in the ministry of the body also. Like you're on teams. That's the way. You're team members also. And to get the most out of this course, you want to be taking what we talk about here and pondering it and watching it played out before your eyes in 100 different ways in the course of a week. Okay? And that's why I had you do that exercise, and we're going to get back to it again, what was the worst job you had? And I think this course is going to answer the question why it was a bad job. And I got some interesting, I think some of you really did have bad jobs. I heard from some of you, it's I wouldn't have wanted that job. But I think what we're also going to find is a lot of the times it's not so much a bad job, it's just a misunderstanding about how to manage people. And I want you to see a side of it that I think will really help you as time goes on. So the team meeting is a safe place to communicate this type of thing away from the heat of the battle. Okay? And so, and I think I mentioned this, maybe I didn't mention it, but one small thing I want to say, this is I don't want this course to be a bunch of little tips and, how-to things. But along those lines, I will say this, is that this is just my opinion. And again, we're going to talk about different styles of leadership, and there's other styles, but I am definitely trying to swing the pendulum a certain way. I have a personal policy that if someone is it's time for the meeting to start, and someone's late for the meeting, it's I am never going to acknowledge that at that point in time. Okay, that's again a terrible time to talk about meeting lateness, is when you're in that situation and someone is late. And then when the person comes in, the thought towards that person is, hey, great, good morning, good to have you here, sit right down. And you just go on like that person is the greatest person in the world because they are, and you are just so glad that they are there. And then if you've got to deal with habitual or chronic lateness, there's another time to do it when it can be edifying and wonderful and a great experience. But that's later. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that. So we just want to create this atmosphere where people are highly valued. They are not humiliated. They are not talked down to. And you'll get this out of this book, Maverick, also. And a small detail of that is that they're the ones who are doing the job. Okay. Now again, Taya is our poster child today for employee. She one of the things she does, in the finance office is she counts offerings. Okay, along with other people. We always have two people there. One person would never count an offering alone. They would always access the money with somebody else just for a covering. But she counts the offering. And in the last 6 years since I've been on the job, I have probably counted the offering probably 3 or 4 times. in my entire career as running the finance office. I know very little about it. And so I've got people in my office that do the job day in and day out. So they know more about this job than I do. Okay? They know a lot more about this job than I do. And this is like a great secret for you leaders out there, which will be all of us in some capacity. You really want to take on an attitude and a thought that the people who are working for me are smarter than I am. That you just want to be thinking that way, okay? That these people know more than I do. Please enlighten me. Tell me how things can be done better, how things can go better, what we should be doing, okay? Because these are the folks who are doing it, right? These are the ones who are knocking on the doors. These are the ones who are doing the visits. These are the ones who are producing the music. And my part becomes like crucial, but limited, but crucial. That doesn't mean it's not important, very important. Doesn't mean I'm not needed, I am. But my part really becomes, the only definition people need from me is, I would say, twofold. Number one, what are like the non-negotiables? Okay, what are the things that the team has no say in? Okay, the team in the finance office has no say in whether or not this church is going to hold to the verbal plenary inspiration of Scriptures, right? I'm not interested in hearing their opinion on that. But that's a settled issue. This is what we're doing, okay? My team has no say in the finance office. Are we going to operate with utmost integrity? That's not even up for, that is a given. We're going to do that, and that is like the vision. That is the mission. I'm going to hold that up, and before I let that go, all those people will be gone. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean to put it that way, but if that's where they want to go, it's not going to go that way. You know, and we are, in this room, we are pastors, we are fathers, we are Christian leaders, we are Christian workers, and there's certain things that are non-negotiable. So I got to hold up the vision. That's all I can hold up. And not that I want to talk about this today, but even if someone over me is saying something that's different than we know from the Bible, well, it's going to be like a very interesting time here because someone's not going to be around too long. So I gotta communicate the non-negotiables. Okay, I've got to when there are I am the final word. Yeah, when the team has made a decision, of course I'm going to say yes, that's the way it is. So yeah, but that's a given. I don't have to go around proving I have the final word by having the final word. But I'm going to draw out different portions. Okay, give people a chance to speak that need the chance to speak that need that encouragement. Ask people that maybe get a lot of airtime to hold off and draw out the portions that are going to help the team. So that's really what I'm doing. Okay, and it's as a leader, it's a place of great peace and relaxation. And it's far different from going in like insecure to a meeting in who I am. And I kind of learned this. I'm going to give a couple of vignettes from my life over the years. And I've been like, I know, can I ask Pastor, how old were you when you were ordained?
2008, 33.
30. I'm getting so old I can't tell how old any of you are. Okay, see, 33 you were ordained. Okay, so maybe that was anybody ordained younger than that here? Pastor Ben, how old are you? 39. Okay, so I have no idea how old people are. I don't know what your ages are. But okay, so these are good examples of what I want to say is that, and I don't think we have so much of this around the church as we used to have decades ago. But just learning to walk with God is just like it's a process. You want to put yourself on a time scale of like decades as opposed to years, because this stuff just takes a long time to learn. And if I could speak to young men, and we got some in this room, just please be patient with the plan of God. don't think, you may have friends that are like doing amazing things. Like we got Micah Stambovsky. He's in Romania, some city in Romania, running a Christian school at age 23. And I would say it's awesome he's doing that. We're all for it. But like that's awesome for him and for his life. But that is not the timetable that God has me on. I may be on a very different timetable. And so you young gentlemen are in Bible college. You'll be in it for whatever, 3 or 4 years. I hope you graduate. Some of you may be married. Some of you may be looking to get married. Some, I know all that stuff. I was watching John Cook he was walking around the parking lot. I asked him if he was out there getting exercise. And he said, no, I'm out here praying. I'm saying to myself, that's what I was doing in Bible college, but I was praying that my now wife would marry me. That was like my prayer life for you walking around Lenox. God, please, So, but what can happen is you don't make the progress. It's not really progress, but we define it as progress. Like I'm 24, I'm married. I'm not really preaching on a regular basis. People are not, like appreciating my gift of communication here. And now I've married. Then a couple years later, you have kids. Okay, and then sometime in that time frame, your wife starts to put a little bit of pressure on you, and maybe it's not your wife, maybe it's self-imposed pressure, but geez, man, I'm sick of driving this old car, So here I am, I'm in the church, I'm showing up in church faithfully. I went to Bible college, I don't have like this public ministry like I thought I might. The pressure on me is like financial, so I start to make decisions to bring more money into the family, which is fine until it becomes out of balance and I lose my calling, okay? And I end up in what I call Carpenter Syndrome. A carpenter paid by the hour. Well, I can work 5 days a week, but if I work 6 days a week, I get that extra day of pay because I'm being paid by the hour. And then, man, I'm tired. I can make it to church on Sunday, but I can't make it on Wednesday night. Sunday night, I got to get up early in the morning, and I end up really walking out of a calling as a good moral person, loves God, but because I got mixed up on God's timetable, I throw my calling in the trash, and God's saying, what are you doing? Just give me some time here. I got something for you, And that's why I'm very glad to have a man who was ordained at age 39 or 33. I think I was 33 when I was ordained also. I'm trying to remember, 1991. Yeah, so I was 33 years old at the time. And it's like, so that's a very healthy thing. So before I was ordained, I did bus ministry for 12 years, and I mean really did it. Saturday and Sunday, we were out there. You were aware of some of that maybe, but we just had a great time. And, out there at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, fire the bus up. It's the dead of winter. The thing's frozen into the ice. And, when you park a bus, the tires, one side of it gets flat, because of the weight on it. And then when you start up, because it's cold, the tire is not soft. So it's like, thunk, 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 and then the tires, in Finland you have that. I know you. And then the tire warms up and the ride moves out. So we did that. But I used to go to doors, and because I was young and immature and insecure, I would walk into these bus ministry houses, and I felt like I had to almost like be entertaining or like be up and be like have a lot to say to people. And I did that for a long time, and after probably like 7 years of that, I said to myself, you know what, I just don't have the energy for this anymore. I'm putting on a show for people. It's tiring me out. I'm not blessed. I can't do it. And I'm just going to walk in and be myself and let the chips fall, So I did that, and I found, you know what? Number one, I was a lot happier. But number two, there was not less fruit, there was more fruit, And it's like the relaxation I walked in with, instead of like rubbed off on the people, instead of me having to be something, they were like almost happy with me just being a real person, So this thing that I call weakness in leadership, which we really need to cultivate in the right way. I don't mean fleshliness, I don't mean false humility, but I mean being real in who we are, and if I don't have an answer, I don't have to give an answer, And And then I moved here in 1999. We moved from Lenox down to Baltimore. I did not come to a staff job. I was moving to Baltimore to be part of home base. I did ask the school, I do have a bachelor's degree, I asked the school if I could teach. They were not interested in availing themselves of my services. Okay. But then I was hired in this office that basically helped people with practical details, called the OCCS. It helped them with like electric bills and food and all that type of stuff. And I would, sit in my office and people would come in for these interviews, and I would pray to God, not because I was supposed to pray but it was just because I was like, Sheila Kuhn, she's not in this church anymore. She was my secretary and an amazing person. Maybe some of you know her. She's still in the area. But one day I said to Sheila, it's just like, I am so weak in this thing. I do not have anything for anybody. That's how we think about ourselves sometimes. And if you can just relax, I think Pastor Schaller is like this. He does not have, if he has nothing to say, he says nothing. If he needs to hear from God, he waits to hear from God, And when you walk into a team meeting and you are weak, and it's like, guys, we are in this together. God has to get us through this. You have to help me, You got to tell me what I got to be doing, team, Show us what we can do better. How do we solve this problem? Then you're going to be doing what we read in the Bible last week, which is Ephesians 4 and 1 Corinthians chapter 11, where like the body is building itself up through that which every joint supplies. And if you act that way, you will create people. You will reproduce after yourself, and you will create people on your team who are relaxed and are operating in the filling of God. Whereas if you go in and you're tense, and you got to be in charge, and you got to be rebuking people, and you got to be monopolizing all the conversation to prove what an amazing leader you are, that's what you're going to reproduce. And you will appeal to people who are legalistic. You will, in some ways, you'll appeal to people who are capable. Like, do this. Oh, I can do that. You'll appeal to people like that. But that's Peter. Jesus, I'm going to go with you all the way to the cross. That's who I am. And Jesus says, what are you talking about? You don't even know who you are. But if you act the other way, you're going to reproduce, meek servants who in turn will go out and serve other people. And again, that's why we spend classes on team meetings, because of course your disposition, moment by moment throughout the day, of course that's very important in the interactions, but you set yourself up to for a team that is edified, energized, that has what they need to do their job because you're giving it to them, that they can communicate their problems so you can fix them. And then when I walk in to Taya's office during the course of the day, it's like she has a job, she's doing it, I'm respecting that job, and she actually, there's someone between me and Taya. There's, it's me, Yulia, and then Taya. So Yulia is kind of like the office manager, I'm the controller. And it's like, I don't have a right to walk in the office and mess with people. I can't walk in there and, I can ask them, what's your workload today? Can you do this? In a crisis, guys, we got to drop everything we're doing. I just got this from my boss. We got to handle this. That can happen, but it's not like I walk in there and oh my gosh, the boss is here. Here we go, And I was in the hardware store around the corner from my house. I'm not going to name it because for obvious reasons, but I was in there one day, and the boss was, walking around, and then he walked out of the room, and one employee was saying to the other, "Oh my gosh, I cannot wait till he goes home." He's asked me 3 times, have I done this, and then he did it himself anyway, and that is not the type of leader you want to be, because you will just end up with people showing up, doing what they got to do to keep out of your way. And it's not a life that we want to be providing for people. That's not what we want to be doing in the church. Okay? I've worked for small businesses. Small for-profit businesses. And where for-profit businesses fail is they grow as far as the entrepreneur, okay? And then his personality quirks, weaknesses, flaws, the company bumps into them, and they grow no further. And usually it's failure to recognize what gifts I have, what gifts I don't have, and get someone with the gifts I don't have and let them exercise their gifts. Instead of that, I got to be in control, and it's all going to be about me. And I've just, I've been to these meetings. And I'm going down a road I don't want to go too far down, so I'll stay off of that. That could erupt again, and sometime this semester that could erupt again, but not today. So. Okay, now here's another important point. I'm just having trouble reading my handwriting. Sorry about that. So, if people don't do something, okay, that they're supposed to do, it's probably for a reason. Okay? It is probably for a reason. And the thing is, in the church, just think about it. People are showing up. They're going to serve on your team. Let's all just stand up just for a second here, okay? Just everybody stand up at your place there. I want to keep everybody awake, and everybody, let's wave to the camera, okay? Everybody turn around and wave. We're going to say hi to our brothers and sisters around the world. Hope you're enjoying this course. Okay, there we go. We got our arms moving, a little bit of circulation going. You may be seated, okay? Hang in there for 12 more minutes, and then Chad's going to go sing, and we're going to take a lengthy break, all right? You can get coffee, whatever you need. So let's go back to my illustration, this door locking thing, okay? If I wait until the following, scheduled long staff meeting, we're going to talk about all sorts of things, tell you, I know we're having a little bit of trouble locking this door. What is behind that? Why is that? And it might be, there could be any number of reasons why that is. Pastor Taggart, it's a pain in the neck. Pastor Taggart, we all hate doing it, Pastor Taggart, the clock was wrong. There can be any number of reasons why this is happening. And my kind of default mode is that there's a reason why that person did not do what I thought they should do, and I want to find out why that is before I ever get close to rebuking them or correcting them. 95% of the people that you're going to work with in a church, and it might be 99% of the people, but this is in team life, this is certainly in family life, this is on staff life. When people show up in the morning, they do not show up to give a hard time. They do not show up to be negative. They do not show up to sabotage the ministry. They are showing up motivated by God, loving God, wanting to do what is right and what is going to help the organization. Very rarely do you run into people with a different spirit. It's like very rare. It might be 1 in 100, but it's very unusual that is going on. So, and we have to always be thinking about people that way, especially when you're working with volunteers. And that's why we're very, very slow to be correcting people, to be making them feel bad, is because when you got a person who shows up to do good, and we make them feel bad. Okay? They show up to be a success, and we make them into a failure by the way we communicate to them. And that's why we want to be very, very careful, very, very delicate and gentle with how we deal with people, and that's why we want to be giving them everything they need. Like, you get a new team member in, and that person needs to be oriented. I'm not saying you have to have an orientation, but there's things that this person does not know. Okay? In the finance office, there's things that take years to communicate, and it's built into some of the people there. Like of course, Yulia's been there a long time. I forget how long Debbie's been there. Tootie's more recent. Actually, Tootie just started sort of when you did, right, Taya? Yeah, that's right. She was there, and then she left, and then, you're right. She's been around a while. But there's things that these people know, and it's the same thing in the body. You might have a team member that's been in the church for a decade, has been under the teaching, and it's awesome. And then you might have someone who's been here for 6 months, and they don't know how we evangelize, how we soul win, what we don't say to people, what we do say to people on the street. So we got to give room. And if someone shows up and they do something wrong, hey, no problem. Let's go back to the blackboard. Let's review it. And then let's learn it all over again. And then the team members that have been around forever, they can hear it again and it helps them and they can modify it. Am I getting this right? Am I saying this right? Yeah, but we should really do it this way. Oh, you're right. Let's make this change. And we all are edified and built up so that we're all thinking the same thing. Okay? So that's how we're thinking about people. And then failure, it's like, why did this person fail? Well, did that person really fail, or was it really a team failure where we didn't communicate to them what they needed to know? We didn't give them the tools to do the job. Is it my fault as a leader? Not that I'm going to feel guilty. I mean, who cares about guilt? Guilt is nothing. Guilt is not a tool that doesn't help. It's not anything at all. So for me to be in front of a team feeling all guilty, why would I ever do that? But if I made a mistake, admit it. Oh, this is obviously my fault. I never told you, Tay, about this. Oh, let me tell you about this. I thought we had gone over this. My fault. Sorry, everybody. Now I understand exactly what happened. And you just take it on yourself and you realize that you just failed in front of the team and you shook your failure off because failure does not matter. And then you just modeled for them how they can fail publicly because we're not about failure. So if another team member makes a mistake, we can all laugh it off because who cares, right? Who cares about that? I don't care about failure, What I care about is if we get to a point where we're doing things a certain way and someone is unwilling or unable to do it that way, okay, now do I have the right team member? Should they be on this team or should they be on another team? But even then, it's just a change of venue. But I really don't know. I don't really know where failure is in this whole. I don't know if it even plays a part in this. You know what I'm saying? But that's how the world runs their businesses. You failed. Watching a few years ago, what's that show? The Apprentice. This is going back 5 or 10 years ago when the show was starting out. And you had that lady, the blonde-haired lady, and Carol. Yeah, see, there we go, Carolyn. And you had, the different teams there. And one, they had these team challenges. One team succeeded, the other team didn't succeed, and it's just like, my gosh. Somebody has to lose, you know what I'm saying? And I look at it sometimes, this team was a success, but this team, yeah, they came in second, and I understand that's how we keep score here, but Carolyn is there. You don't understand. You failed, you failed, you failed, you failed, you failed, And for you to tell someone on your team, for me to tell someone on my team that they are a failure, I just made them a failure, and this person will go out in that failure identity, and I will have a team of failures because I have created them to be that. Okay? If you want a team of winners, communicate to them like winners, like successes, because, that's the way I think of it. Someone showing up as a success. I can't believe people come to work every day. It's like amazing. To work in my office, why would you do that? I do not understand that. I do not, I can't even think about myself, But, you are a success, and we communicate with them that way. So we want to create an atmosphere where people can say what they want, where people can say what they are thinking. And I think I hit that a little bit last week. And you're going to do that by, as a leader, because you're secure, like God put you in that seat. You did not put yourself in that seat. God's going to keep you in that seat as long as He wants you there. And He's going to take you out the moment He just says, okay, we're going to make a change here. So it is impossible that you being like dishonored or something in the eyes of a team member, that would ever be like a threat. Like, does that bother me? I suppose it could because I'm human, but I don't have to start reacting to that. So when people are free to say what they want to say, what they're thinking in a team meeting, because I'm going to take it, And if you can tell me something wrong that I'm doing where I can improve, my gosh, please tell me that. Please show me how I can improve. Okay? By all means, tell me, because the people who tell me something I don't know are the ones who are helping me, right? Now, do you and I as leaders, do we like being built? I got a very edifying email from some of you. I think I got Mr. Shepard this morning. So I really appreciated that. Thank you for that. Some kind words about the course and gave me hope to go on. This is what, class 4 or 5 now? Class 5? We just got like 11 more to go. If we can keep going positive here, we can make it to May or whatever it is without you guys throwing rocks at me. But the people who tell me stuff that I don't know are the ones who are really helping me. You know, so Shahan's having a bad day. He's angry about something. He says, on my team, Pastor Taggart, if you would just do this, you know, why can't you do it this way? And it's like, I could get angry with him. How dare you speak to me that way? You know, you call yourself a Christian. I'm a pastor. How can you talk to me that way? But it's like, as we talked about this last week, if you smack him down, okay, if you do a smackdown, you may never get him to talk again, okay, with stuff that you need to hear. And you may never give him a chance to grow if that was carnality. And I could care less if it's carnality or not. I'd rather have someone tell me the truth. And this is not true, but I'm just saying it for effect. I would rather have someone flesh out and tell me what they're really thinking than to lie to me filled with the Spirit, you know. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if that's possible or not. But that's the point. You need people to get angry once in a while in your meetings to tell them what you need to hear so you can fix things, okay? And sometimes people won't communicate because they're angry and they don't want to let their flesh out in front of everybody, so they hold it in. It's like, oh my gosh, just tell us what you're thinking. Don't worry about if it's, you know, we can sort that out later. I don't even care about it. But it's like impossible that you would like insult me, that you would dishonor me, like you would bother me. Because if you're communicating to me truth, great. This is an even place. Christ is between us now, and now we can have a real conversation, which is in our team meetings, we want to be talking about the most important things. We want to be talking about life, truth, you know, love. Are you happy? Is this working? Is this team holding together? Are you unhappy? Did we mistreat you? Do you feel dishonored? We want to be having real conversations about real life, not a veneer of conversation like everything is wonderful and we're all happy here, but then we go out of the room and we say what we're really saying behind someone's back. What you're really saying, it's got to happen in that room. It's got to happen in that room, you know. So with that, we're going to take a break now. We're going to reconvene, if I can get my hours right here, at 7. We're going to start back up at 7:18. So this is an extended break. Chad, have at it. Thanks, everybody.